What if the voice in your head, the one that says, I will take a walk, or I will go for dinner, wasn't really who you are? That's a funny thing to think about, right? When you think about your voice in your head, what if that voice in your head isn't who you really are? In the Buddhist tradition, they talk about something called sunyata, which is a Sanskrit term which means void, which means emptiness. And the self doesn't even participate in that emptiness. It doesn't exist. In the Hindu tradition, there's also this idea of the illusion, the grand illusion, Maya. It's all a dream, right? It's a divine dream, a divine play. Lila, the divine play. And the self doesn't exist there either. So that's an interesting concept about the ego, or the illusional sense of I-ness, this idea about who we think we are. Ramana Maharshi said, stop thinking and show me the mind. You'll see that it doesn't exist. And that's an interesting experiment, right? When you stop thinking, where is the mind? The thing that you thought was so real, so solid, something you could hold on to. It doesn't really exist. It's a story. So if you play along with me here and notice that the ego is just a story that we tell ourselves, it's an assembly of ideas, of concepts, of identifications, of objectifications inside the ego, and that we think that we are that thing, that story, then something surprising happens. We stop taking ourselves so seriously. We become enlightened. We lighten up. And the story that we tell ourselves about ourselves, and if we realize that it's just a story and that we don't have to take ourselves so seriously, something else happens. We don't take the world so seriously, right? So we watch the news, the wars, the devastation, AI, endless problems in the world. And we can lighten up and realize that we don't have to carry the weight of the world on our shoulders. We can remain in our stillness and our presence and our equanimity. And I think that's so important. I've got this phrase, sometimes that happens. And I say that a lot these days. Sometimes that happens. And another war, well, sometimes that happens. Or a cancer diagnosis, sometimes that happens. A friend of mine wrote me and said, do you believe what's happening in Florida? Do you believe they just passed a law? And I went, sometimes that happens. Life is unpredictable and uncertain, and sometimes things just happen. Rain falls on our sunny day picnic. Sometimes that happens. So maintaining that attitude is crucial for us to remain calm and centered in our peace, in our poise, and balanced, right? So I've been practicing that. Sometimes that happens, and you might do that with your life and the uncertainty that ensues in your daily life. I love to tell this story. A young man really became enamored with a certain master, and he read a lot of books on this master and about his master's teaching. So he decided, he would make the trek and travel across mountains and forests to meet this master in person. So he made the trek, and finally he came to a little hut in the forest, and there was the master sitting there quietly sipping papaya juice. And the young student, the devotee, said to the master, he said, how can you in good conscience be sitting here in calm and peace, drinking papaya juice, when there's devastation, there's famine, there's pestilence, there's all kinds of stuff happening in the world? How can you maintain your peace and calm in this chaos? And the master smiled and said, not in my world. Now, of course, the master wasn't denying the world and the wars and all the things that are going on in the world. And he realized that there is suffering and there's consequences. Yes, we live in the physical reality and war ensues and so on, but he wouldn't allow it to disturb his peace and his stillness. And that's the key there, not allowing the news, the politics, the artificial intelligence, all the stuff that's going on in the world to disturb our peace and silence and stillness and calm. Another Hindu idea is the idea of lila. I mentioned that before. And all that means is just it's a play. It's a drama playing out on the screen of consciousness. And this drama, this laughter, this joy, this suffering is all playing out on this screen of consciousness, projected by the light of consciousness. And we're in it. We're in it. We're actors in this play, right? We have to just realize that if we got up out of the play, got out of the seat, and went behind the screen of consciousness and looked at it, we would laugh, right? So I guess what I'm trying to say here today is that I would like to engender within more people the idea that it's not so serious, that we could lighten up, that we can not take ourselves so seriously, and then approach life with more play, more laughter, more friendliness. And realize that it's just a movie, right? It's just a drama. It's just a lila. It's just an illusion. It's just a dream that we're participating in. And that it doesn't need to affect our presence. And we can tap into presence by simply looking at the space between two thoughts, right? If we can look at the space between two thoughts, we can see, yes, there is stillness here. There is presence. I always like to note the Harvard study that said most people spend 47% of their waking hours lost in thought. Wow, that's amazing. So they're either daydreaming or they're lost in rumination or remembrances, the past, or thinking about the future, but they're not in presence. And the key here is to remember, research bears this out, that if we stay in the present moment, we're happier. Wow, what a concept. Presence actually brings about happiness. We can participate in this presence. It's always available to us right here, right now. That's a great thing to remember. If you've enjoyed this talk, why not hit the like button, subscribe to my channel for more on meditation, mindfulness, and personal growth. Until next time, bye for now.